Ben Carpenter here. I'm going to talk to you about CrossFit. Now, CrossFit is a very controversial topic, a lot of heated arguments going back and forth. You will often find people in one of two camps. So, those who perform CrossFit, they love CrossFit, anyone that says anything against CrossFit gets shouted at. Or you'll find someone in the anti-CrossFit camp, which is CrossFit uses atrocious technique, CrossFit's renowned for injuries, etc, etc. Now, what I find worrying is the amount of people in both camps and very few people relatively in the middle. It's surprisingly rare that I see people saying CrossFit could be good for so-and-so, but might not be good for this person. So the reason why I find this worrying is because as a personal trainer, or if you're someone on Facebook with a personal training following or fitness following, isn't it better for you as a consumer that people are reporting objective reasons for you to make the best choice? So what I don't think is helpful is people that create a video of CrossFit fails as a compilation, but use clips from people that aren't engaging in CrossFit. So, for example, people Olympic lifting in their garage, or trying to perform a clean in their garage and failing. That's fine, but that's not someone who's engaging in CrossFit at the time. That's someone who's trying to perform an Olympic lift at the time, not necessarily in the midst of a CrossFit workout. So I think it's unfair for people to try and get any Olympic lifting fail video and put it straight into a CrossFit fail compilation, because it makes the number of fails in CrossFit perhaps look greater than there are. So don't get me wrong, I've seen people performing in legitimate CrossFit competitions or CrossFit workouts with shocking technique. As in, any instructor who lets that fly, to me, is doing that at huge detriment of the participant, because it is highly injurious, some of the things I've seen. But then on the other side, I've seen the same thing in gyms with people performing traditional weight training. So it's hard to compare which one's worse, because if you're watching 15 people compete at once, you'll see poor technique. But if you stood in the gym and watched 15 people training with normal weight training, traditional weight training, would you not see similar? I don't know. Just throwing it out there as a point of discussion. So, my own opinion on CrossFit doesn't really matter. In terms of objectivity, I like to report on research and disconnect as much from that as possible. I don't like trying to sway people either way with my own opinion. So, there is research which looks at CrossFit versus traditional resistance and aerobic training, i.e. a combination thereof. So, it was an 8-week study. People trained 3 times per week. So we have the CrossFit group and the ART group, which is aerobic and resistance training. Over the course of 8 weeks, there were no significant body composition changes in either group. So neither group outperformed the other in terms of fat loss or weight loss, etc. Now, what I found interesting, and the reason why I was sparked to create this video, is because I've seen people reporting this study saying that CrossFit didn't outperform traditional training. And that's kind of correct. They didn't outperform it. But to me, that seems like a slightly twisted angle on the study, because the devil is in the detail with this one. So, although there were no significant body composition results in either group, the traditional aerobic and resistance training group per week trained for 189.8 minutes. So split over 3 workouts, you're looking at just over an hour per workout. Now, compare that to the CrossFit group, whose average weekly training time was 39.3 minutes. So you're comparing almost 190 minutes of training per week to almost 40 minutes of training per week. Now, don't get me wrong, if there's no dietary intervention and we can't assess body composition results because we don't know if one group's diet altered to the other one, etc, etc. But on paper, if everything is assumed as equal, CrossFit did outperform this group, because they achieved the same result, or lack thereof, i.e. 0 result, with 40 minutes training time versus 190 minutes training time. So I personally am not saying that CrossFit is better, than traditional aerobic and resistance training. Far from it. I'm definitely not saying that, because it is possible that if you looked at diets of both groups, they could vary drastically. However, without being given that information, it seems a little bit twisted for someone to report that CrossFit didn't outperform the aerobic and resistance training group, because they at least did as well as, if not better. There is no way that CrossFit could have actually technically done worse, because they achieved the same lack of result with only 40 minutes training time versus 190 minutes training time. So, to me, the only people that can win this, if it was an argument based on this study, would be the CrossFit group, because no dietary intervention was reported, so you have to look on the training alone. And CrossFit achieved the same lack of result with less training time. So the interesting thing is there was one dropout for injury. That was in the CrossFit training group. Now, people that are very anti-CrossFit will often say that CrossFit is atrocious for people injuring themselves. So if we cross-reference another study, there was a study which sent out questionnaires to people on CrossFit forums. So 132 questionnaires were sent out by recipients. Total number of recorded injuries was 186. So it doesn't take a genius to work out that some people got injured more than once. What this worked out to be was 3.1 injuries per 1,000 hours of training time, which isn't huge. So in terms of CrossFit, I'm personally not for or against. You will get good CrossFit instructors, you'll get worse ones. You'll get good personal trainers, and you'll get worse ones. I don't necessarily have a preference. Given the choice, I would tend to stick people with what I know, i.e. a structured, periodised, progressive training program. But if someone enjoys CrossFit and that is their vehicle towards exercise and living a healthier lifestyle, I'm more than happy for them to take that. So if someone enjoys CrossFit, that increases their adherence and they stick with it over a longer period of time, then I would recommend CrossFit. If someone prefers resistance training and aerobic training, then of course do that. So I personally don't have a preference. What I do have a preference is when people discuss the topic, I want them to do it fairly and objectively, rather than trying to twist information and misrepresent information to fit their agenda. So, love to hear your feedback. Please feel free to comment on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Ben Carpenter Personal Training, or my Twitter or now Instagram pages, which is BDC Carpenter for both of them. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.